So, like I said, our pairing beer is New Holland the Poet. It's a really nice offering from New Holland. Their most well-known beer, by far, is Dragon's Milk, which is a bourbon barrel-aged imperial stout. It's such a big seller for New Holland that they have a separate website just for Dragon's Milk and its many variants. They tout it as the best-selling bourbon barrel-aged stout in America. It's also a year-round offering, so I'm sure that helps boost its sales. And it is a stellar beer, no doubt. But we're here to talk about the other stout from New Holland. The Poet is roughly half the ABV of Dragon's Milk. The New Holland website says 5.8%, but Beer Advocate listed at 5.2%. Looking at my bottle, it looks like Beer Advocate needs to update its listing. The Poet was added to their database in February of 2003, and the recipe has apparently been reconfigured since then. So, 5.8% is at the high end of the Oatmeal Stout ABV spectrum, but the beer is still super easy drinking. It's got an almost light body for a stout, no doubt as a result of the creaminess imparted from the oatmeal. It smells like chocolate chip oatmeal cookies, but that sweet smell doesn't translate to a sweet flavor. It's still got enough roast and hop bitterness to balance it all out. And it finishes dry and smooth. Overall, I'd say it's a great example of the style, and a good beer to give someone who is maybe on the fence about stout. It's a good introductory beer into the world of dark beer. I know I said that about Irish stouts previously, and that's still true, but I think this is more representative of stouts in general. Irish stouts are typically served on nitro, which makes them so light and creamy that someone new to dark beer could mistakenly believe that all stouts are like that, and that's simply not true. Some of them are downright chewy. I wanted to pair this tasty beer with a movie that suits its title. Not a movie about poetry, not fucking Dead Poet Society, and not something based on a Poe story like The Pit and the Pendulum or The Mask of the Red Death. No, I wanted to pair The Poet with a movie that unfolds like a poem. Think Terrence Malick or Godfrey Reggio, who made the excellent Koyaanisqatsi, which I have discussed before on the show. These are not movies for everyone. Non-narrative movies tend to really piss off the typical American movie-going audience. When Malick's The Tree of Life movie was released in 2011, some theaters had to post notices warning viewers that it was not a traditionally narrative movie and that there would be no refunds if you didn't like or understand it. But for those of us with the heart of a poet, or simply love of cinema in all its forms, movies like The Tree of Life or Koyaanisqatsi or Samsara can be truly transcendent. Samsara is a hypnotic view of the world as a cycle of birth, life, death, and rebirth. At least, that's what I think it is. Maybe you see it as something entirely different. That's what makes non-narrative movies so great. They are open to infinite interpretation. Every person who watches them brings their own baggage into the viewing experience. This is true of all movies, but in a movie that offers you nothing in the way of explanation, this search for meaning is increased exponentially. So yeah, that's why I wanted to talk about one of these types of movies. Or at least something similar. Our movie is not traditional from a narrative standpoint, but it's also not as sweeping as something like Samsara or Naguakatsi, which is one of the sequels to Koyaanisqatsi. Our movie today is Leviathan from 2012. It is a documentary, but it is also unlike any movie you have ever experienced before. Most documentaries have a very strong narrative, or a series of talking heads explaining every facet of what you're seeing on the screen. Leviathan does the exact opposite. What little dialogue there is in the movie is absolutely unnecessary to understanding what is happening. It's all incidental, it's just more background noise. So, what is happening? Well, it is ostensibly a documentary about the commercial fishing industry. The camera crew goes on a fishing vessel and films the crew as they do their job, films their ship, films the surrounding wildlife, films the ocean. That's it, really. But the beauty of this movie doesn't lie in what it's about so much as it lies in the experience of watching it. The filmmakers use crazy camera work and entrancing diegetic sound and the visceral reality of their subject matter to create something truly unique. I said it was a movie about commercial fishing, and it is, but it's not really about that at all. That is the subject matter we observe, But the point of the movie is not to educate us about the logistics of the fishing industry. The point is to show the viewer what the experience of working on a fishing vessel is like. What it looks like, what it sounds like, what it feels like. You can almost smell some scenes in this movie, and they don't look like they smell good at all. And those are the bits you can see. So much of this movie is just a black screen with sound. It's a truly innovative way to make a documentary, and a super dangerous one from what I've read about it. The filmmakers, Lucien Casting Taylor and Verena Paraval, would sometimes have to tie themselves to the boat to stabilize themselves enough to record. There's also violent seasickness to deal with, and the inherent danger of being on a fishing vessel without any experience. It doesn't sound pleasant. But these two like to put themselves in harm's way, it seems. They also made the documentary Cannibal, where they hang out in extremely close quarters with a real-life cannibal and his brother. That's an upsetting movie of a different sort. You probably shouldn't watch that one. It alienates the majority of the people that watch it, from what I recall. Not that it's especially graphic or anything. If anything, you would probably just be bored by it. I don't know. It seemed like everyone but me and one or two other people hated that movie when it came out. But anyway, that's really all there is to say about Leviathan. You should watch it. It's wild and gross, but worth it. So, yeah. I guess that's it for this episode. Another one down. We're getting into a nice groove here. Thank you for going on this little journey with me. It means a lot to me. And as always, I implore you, that's right, I said implore you, to rate and review and subscribe to the show. Tell your friends and family members and coworkers and strangers on the train and that weird fucking guy who works at the gas station by your house to listen to the show. If you want to reach out, beerblockbuster@gmail.com is our email, and we can be reached via social media at Beer Blockbuster. Also, if you've tried a really great oatmeal stout, you should write a poem about it and send it to me. If it's really good or really bad, I'll read it during the show. I'll be back soon, and we'll do some more beer-style breakdowns, some more movie face-offs, some more beer and movie pairings, everything you love and expect from Beer Barrels and Blockbusters. Until then, take it easy, but take it. Good night, nerds.